Hi, I'm Kenyon Murray, Director of Development for Murray Elite Basketball and owner of Murray Legacy Management. Currently, I am a husband, father, and son, but I guess if I were to break it down who I am, I'm a man that's driven by purpose. I'm a man driven by purpose, and I pursue my passions. And so I'm just really excited to be on the podcast today, so let's do it.
Good to go? Look at that. Okay, so we start off every show, Mr. Kenyon Murray, with those two cards in front of you.
Okay.
If you can read them out loud to our audience, and then if you can briefly explain to me what they mean to you.
All right, the first one is leaders seek first to understand, then to be understood. I would say with that card, when you're a leader, like you have to, whatever it is you're doing, you are going to be the one that's being looked to for direction and clarity. And I think one of the things that a lot of leaders struggle with is taking their vision and making it clear for the people that'll be working with them. That's something that I learned actually with my podcast team because, I wasn't clear on some of the expectations I had, and I also didn't give them the credit that I should have. So understanding what they did and understanding how they would impact the podcast in a positive way, I had to kind of understand that, and then I had to delegate and say, hey, you guys are my team for a reason. And So sometimes as a leader, we just have to understand other people's perspectives in order to bring out the best in them and bring out the best in us. The second one, you say leaders understand their impact on others. And I've been saying this quote a lot. It's from Carmelo Anthony's Hall of Fame speech when he said, legacy is not what you leave behind, it's who you lift up. So our legacy is really the people that we impact in the time that we have here on earth. And so I think when you have people looking to you, and a lot of people don't view themselves as leaders, but I always tell this, I say everybody's leaving a legacy and everybody is a leader to some extent, whether it's negative or positive. There is somebody that's going to be looking to you to learn how to do things the right way.
Right.
So if somebody wants to be on a podcast, they're going to see, okay, well, what's Max doing? What's Kenyon doing, right? So you have to understand that when you have eyes on you, that you're going to impact them in one way or the other. And so it's up to you as a leader, like what you want to impact them with, positive or negative.
That's pretty freaking good right there. I actually now, this is the first time we've done this. It's so funny. It started off with one card and then we're like, no, you know what? Let's have them read two cards. And now I'm bringing a couple cards. So when you were coming here, and again, really appreciate you just taking the time, traveling, being here, and then all the advice you always give us, and we'll go a little into that soon. I'm like, what two cards, as I was going through these, I'm like, what really reminds me of you? And one is the King of Clubs, and that is leaders are optimists. And then the other is the Three of Spades. Leaders know the ultimate act of bravery is admitting they don't know. You, as soon as you walked in here, even in the parking lot when I met you, you have a big smile on your face. You're always positive no matter what's going on. And we all have things that are going on.
Right.
We don't always, when we will talk about this, we don't always explain what's going on, especially as men. Sometimes we keep it inside, but you do such a great job of being a glass half full. Like you uplift every room you're in. You're always positive. You're always smiling. You're always greeting everybody since the moment that we met you. And then you also know when you don't know something. Oh, yeah. Like I've heard you say, well, I really didn't know that. Or I learned this. And you're on this constant pursuit of evolving and getting better. And in order to get better, you have to know what you don't know. You have to know that there's rooms of opportunity in your personal development that you may not be good at right now. And just before this podcast started, you're talking about things that you've learned and how it's helped you. So you always inspire us, and that's actually what I wanted to do to start off the show, was get Josh over here. Not to get too sentimental here, but we'll have Josh pull up a chair. Are you pulling up a blue chair? Okay, blue chair. And we personally just wanted to say thank you so much because I don't know how long it's been since we met Kenyon.
2 years now.
2 years, yeah.
Okay, I don't know if the mic will pick you up, but 2 years we've known you, and you've made such a big impact on our lives. So we personally just wanted to say thank you because the moment we believed or we met you, you believed in us. Yeah. Like you took us out to lunch, we sat down, and you're like, you two are special. And that meant the world to us. So we just really want to say thank you because you've played such a big role in our lives in such a short period of time.
Well, no, I appreciate that. I think for me, it's funny. I just did this Clifton strength test for this professional men's group that I'm in, and my top 5 strengths, 3 were about building relationships.
Wow.
And positive. My number one strength was positivity. So you said that, like, literally you do these tests and it came out, but that my number one thing was positivity. And so I have 3 key strengths that are in the relationship building, and then the other 2 were what we call a ranger, right? So bringing people together from different backgrounds to achieve something as a unit. Like, that's like my other thing. And I look at what I'm doing now, and that's what it's all about. It's building relationships, with the projects and stuff that we're doing. But it's also getting people that may not come from the same background or financial class or whatever it is, and getting them all to work together. Because when you talk about doing anything, whether it's the vision here at DME or the vision we have with the Murray Foundation, it's about bringing people together for a common cause, right? And if you believe in that, like, that's when you unite people and communities, and you can really have an impact. So, yeah, man, positivity is a big thing for me. And, I think most people want to be appreciated for what they are and who they are. And people want to be appreciated. And that's the one thing that I always say, like, I don't know what I don't know. I didn't know anything about commercial real estate 15 months ago, but I got 4 or 5 other people on my team that do. And so, but they can't cast the vision like I do. They can't, they're not the arranger or the relationship builder I am. They're really good at what they do. So it's up to me as the leader to kind of put them in a place to be successful. And I know if I do that for them, then it's going to reverberate back to me. So if they're successful, I'm successful. So that's, I guess, answering your 2 cars. That's what I do and who I am.
We appreciate you. I had to make sure John.
But I didn't know. I mean, honestly, like, you 2 are great. That's the thing. Like, you're sponges. Like, and that's what you always have to be, because learning is constant, evolving is constant. And we've talked about that. Each one. I mean, we're going to go through so many chapters in life. So if there's anything that my experience can help with you 2, I'm obviously 27 and 25. 24.
Yeah,
I'm 52. So I'm hoping that I got, I can give you a little bit, of.
See, when you're 27, there's just a certain amount of wisdom.
See this guy. Can I add the one thing? I think the biggest thing that I learned, the biggest thing I learned from you, though, is your ability to be vulnerable. And I think that's the hardest thing. I know we're going to get into throughout the podcast. But as men, like, that is something we struggle with so much. And it helps us breed another layer of ourselves, because we're shedding skin and then going into that new layer. So that one, I think, just hit the most for me. And over time, as I've learned, as I got older, how to be vulnerable, what it takes, and controlling that within myself was huge. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem, man. We connect through shared experiences, and I think that's the biggest thing with vulnerability, is you're willing to share your experience, positive or negative, because there's something you can learn out of either one of them, right? And that's what I was telling you earlier. I had a podcast called Failure's Not Final. And that's because we're all going to fail. I mean, that's just a given. Like, we're not going to be 100% on anything. And so I think through vulnerability, that's when you really connect with people and you show them that it's okay, especially men. We need to be more vulnerable, and we need to lean into each other a little bit more, because I think that's where a lot of the breakdown is like, we're not helping each other get through the hard stuff at times. So
no, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I appreciate it, man.
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
it. Yeah, for letting me pour into you.
That's the last time you guys will see me on camera.
No, that's the first of many times. And you brought out the blue chair.
Oh, yeah.
Well, all that being said, my gosh, I just wanted to rewind a little bit and talk about your story.
Yeah.
Because when people see you now, you're obviously, there's so many things that you're working on, life coaching, and we're going to get into that. This project that you're working on, your podcast, Leaving Your Legacy. You're the father of Keegan and Chris Murray, who are doing unbelievable things. You just have so many things that people can look and take a step back and be in awe of. But yet you're very vulnerable, you're very real, you're very authentic. But I think you had to go through the things you went through in order to be the person you are today.
Yeah.
So to rewind a little bit, how did you become the man you are today? And I know that's a very broad question. Is it where you're from? Is it the people you were surrounded by when you were young? Is it your mom? Is it what made you who you are?
I think the version of me that's sitting in front of you today wouldn't have happened if I hadn't gotten the worst news ever in my life. And when I say that is, sometimes we have to get kicked in the gut to really reset and ask ourselves, what do I want this journey to be? What path am I going to go on? And so the man that's in front of you today is a result of my wife sending me a text message saying she wanted a divorce. And it was one of those things like I really had to look back on myself and really take inventory of, okay, what am I doing? Because when we were asked the question, okay, at this point in time, we've been married like 18 years. And they asked, okay, how many years have been bad, right? Like, I was like, the last couple of years have been a little shaky. And my wife was like, the first 2 were pretty good. So you start talking about perspective, right? And
she said the first 2?
The first 2. Yeah. The first 2. So I looked at that as this is the person that I love more than anybody in the world. And she's like, yo, you just haven't been the man that I thought you were, And I think what it made me realize is like there was a lot of selfish tendencies that I had in myself. And I think sometimes it's, as an athlete, it's hard to find an identity outside of sports if you've done it for a long time.
We were just talking about this.
And for me, I always felt like I was supposed to be, I got into coaching at Indian Hills at the junior college level, high level junior college, because I felt like, I want to be a Division I head coach someday. So I was chasing that, right? And it was interesting because so many doors kept getting closed or so many emails didn't get answered, or you're like, oh, well, you were our second choice. And it was like, that wasn't what I was supposed to do. I wasn't supposed to be coaching that. And it was funny because it took a college coach that recruited Chris and Keegan here from DME that said, you are a college coach. When you think about what you've done with your boys over all these years, he goes, you are a college coach.
Yeah.
So I would say the man I am today was shaped by that one experience, and it made me go, okay, I want to be the best version of me. My wife said, we may not stay together, but I do want you to be a good father, a good man. So I would say that's been probably the biggest impact on me, just because it has created the version that's here today. But other than that, I had so many people that helped me, coaches, people in the community. And it's one of the reasons why I'm still in Iowa doing what I'm doing is because I came to Iowa because of the people, not necessarily because of being able to start and play, but it was the people that really impacted me when I went on my visits and stuff like that, just genuine. And so for me, this version of me has had so many ups and downs, but I would say the biggest thing was that one text that's created the dude that you see right now.
Well, I'm going to be honest. If you were to take that text message and you were to send it to like 10 people that I know, if they were in a relationship, I feel like a good 7, 8 of them would respond with an ego.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. And then they would go the other way.
Yeah.
So the fact that you had the self-awareness and also the, I wouldn't say like maturity almost, to put your ego to the side and be like, wow, maybe I do need to be better. Like, this is what I want. That takes a lot of guts and vulnerability to do that. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people wouldn't respond to that very well. Yeah.
The ego is one of those things that in that decision, I knew that I had to realign myself. I had to make Jesus Christ the center and the focal point. It had to be the foundation of everything. So you talk about renewing my faith. Like that was the biggest part I saw there. Like I had to renew my faith. I had to have a closer relationship with God. And through that, the biggest thing is you have to surrender. You have to surrender ego. So if that's the path that I wanted to take, I knew that I would have to surrender that ego in order to grow and to learn and to become a better version of myself. So I would say this, like it was hard because it was uncomfortable to let go of the ego. But once I realigned myself and I realized like all things are because of him, through him, it was a lot easier to let my ego, at the door, just be like, I'm good.
Ego is so interesting though, because especially as an athlete, you need a little bit of an ego to get through certain obstacles. Like when people don't think you're as good as you are, you have to have ego to be like, no, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And then when you're dealing with tough crowds and you want to also get better, ego is important to have, but at the same time, it could be very crippling if you don't know how to channel it, right?
Right.
So it's important to still have an ego to an extent, would you say?
I would say, ego in the words of confidence and self.
Go hand in hand a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. But I think ego takes a different when you feel like you're the reason that things are happening. Even if you're a first team All-American, like say Keegan was, you're not a first team All-American without the guys on that team. You know, same thing for Chris. You're not a third team All-American without those guys on the team. You can do all the work because the ability to perform comes from the process that you put yourself into, like the skill development, those kind of things. The confidence to perform, where we kind of maybe borderline that ego thing, comes from the preparation. Okay. So, yes, you put yourself from that standpoint to be able to perform in that instance, but the actual outcome of your performance comes from everybody else around you. So I think that's where, you know, you can say there's a difference between ego and confidence. Yeah. Is I'm confident because I know I put the work in, I'm confident in my teammates, or I'm the reason that we're good. You know, I've done all the work, I should get all the glory, then that's ego. So in that sports world, that's hard to do because, like you said, you have to have it, but you have to understand that confidence, where that confidence comes from. Mm-hmm. And then how are you going to continue to be able to perform? You need everybody around you to help you out to do that. So
there's so many different directions I want to go, but I know we'll get there. As you were an All-American yourself. Yeah. So you played at a very, very high level. You're a top tier athlete yourself. Do you feel like, did you know that basketball was going to play such a pivotal role in your life? Like way more than just what you do in the sport, but the things it taught you as a man, the things that taught you what you eventually teach your kids, what it's done for your kids. Did you know basketball was going to be such a pivotal part?
No, I would say no. Basketball for me at that time was a vehicle to get education. So for me, it was like education. Like that's what my mom preached. Like education is what's going to be the biggest indicator in your life. And so I remember going on my visit and my mom was hell-bent on everybody had to meet with like education people, right? So went to Iowa and that was great. Went to a couple other visits. They weren't so great. Because that wasn't the focus. It wasn't education, right? Yeah. And so when I look at my family, education was the biggest indicator of their success. As I have 6 women in my family that are all doctors. 6. Yeah. 6 women in my family are doctors. Crazy. Right. I have one, my aunt and uncle.
That's a smart household.
So I'm just saying that's in the family, but in one household in my family, we have 2 dentists, an OBGYN, and a head of neuroradiology in one house. So that's mom, dad, son, daughter.
I don't even know what the last title means.
Right. So it's always been about education for us. And so I knew that I wanted to go somewhere. My mom said, go somewhere where if basketball were taken out of it, you'd be happy. Right. You would stay. You would, love to stay in school, stay in the community, that kind of thing. And that was Iowa. So basketball to me was a vehicle to get. And I had a great high school career. I was, like I said, a McDonald's All-American. I was a 4-year starter at Iowa, but I never saw it as kind of my end-all, be-all. I never even thought about playing professionally until my senior year when I got a letter from NBA franchise, and I was like, oh, okay, I might have a chance to do this. So it was never that. And even for the boys, it was, let's, going to college to get going for free. Like that was a big thing. The NBA was one of those things like, yo, that'd be great, but we didn't know that would happen.
So, okay, that's what I wanted to ask you. Have you seen King Richard?
Yes.
That's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And shout out to Will Smith with that one. That's one of my favorite movies. And he clearly had like a plan, like even before the babies were born, Serena and Venus, like he had the textbook, like he knew exactly what he wanted to do with them. Here's the game plan that we're going to follow. Here's how I'm going to train them. They're going to be the greatest. Not just, what did he say? Not just one Mozart, you're going to have 2 Mozarts. Just unbelievable. When you had the twins, Keegan and Chris, did you have a game plan for them? Like, did you say, okay, I'm going to make sure, because you loved basketball, you knew how to train. Did you have that end goal in mind, or just?
No, it was, I think when they were shooting and dunking a basketball at 12 months old, like in the living room, like that's when I was like, okay, basketball is in their blood kind of thing. Yeah. The plan really didn't start coming together until about 7th grade because we wanted them to be balanced. We wanted them to play football and basketball and soccer and golf and do all these other things. And we wanted, because we wanted it to be their decision. So when they decided like 7th grade, like they were done playing baseball and they wanted basketball to be their thing, that's when I would say a plan started to form. Okay. And it was, I'm going to teach them the things that I wasn't very good at. I was a great athlete. I started late. I wasn't a great shooter. I wasn't a great ball handler, but I was still a McDonald's All-American, right? So it was like I did all these things and I was very successful, but there were things that limited me as a player. So I said, I wasn't taught these things at a young age. So the plan was, okay, we're going to start with fundamentals. You're not very big right now, but you're going to be able to dribble, pass, and shoot. And so that was the whole focus because they were always small, and we knew like they were the doctor said they'd be 6'5", 6'6". We're like, okay, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
But if you're not, you're still going to be able to compete. You're still going to be able to play. So I started teaching them how to watch film in 7th grade. We started doing scouting.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Our AAU team, I had a parent that recorded our AAU games. And when we had practices, we would sometimes have sleepovers. And so one of the parents would host the whole team. And we'd watch film. All the boys on the team were down watching film, breaking things down. So I taught them the game from that standpoint. And then, they were like, are you ever going to grow? And this, that, and the other thing. They were freshmen. They're like 5'11", 120 pounds, soaking wet. And I was like, it's going to come. It's going to come.
Yeah.
But I was like, but through that, they fell in love with the process of getting better. And that's the thing. You have to compete at the highest level or have an opportunity to compete at the highest level. You have to love the process of getting better, because you're going to spend more time in a weight room, training room, in the gym working on your skills than you're actually going to be playing games. And if you don't love that, and you just look for the games, I think there's burnout, and I think there's ways of being distracted, that you don't live up to your potential in that certain area. So, no, I think the plan started about 7th grade, and it was basically the same thing. Every workout started the same way, and then as they went into college, it was the same thing. They're kind of doing that. I don't maybe not as NBA players do they do what we did back then, but there's a variation of it. So the plan started when they said, this is what we want to do, and I built it.
I think because it's so interesting now, especially with social media, AAU culture, everybody's trying to cultivate an NBA player. Like they're trying to come up with the perfect workout routine. At what age do you start? What do they eat? What coaches, what programs, and then who do you connect with to get the right exposure? So to be able to say that you've coached not only just one, but two NBA players, and then they're your kids, and that's just such a cool story. But you were also, depending on how much you want to share, you were balancing so many things at the same time as coaching your kids. So how did you put on the father cap, and then how did you put on the coaching hat, and then how did you put on the husband hat, who's also trying to deal with everything? How did you do all that?
I don't think very well for a long time, honestly, because I thought I was, as someone that grew up without his biological father involved in his day-to-day, I wanted to be that for my kids, right? So I don't know if I was overbearing, but I just wanted to be there and help cultivate them, because I didn't feel like anybody else could raise my kids the way that I thought that they should be raised, right? So balancing that was hard, because when you have kids, and then our daughter was a great athlete too, and then we had Demetrius come live with us, so you got 4 athletes in the house, so you're ripping and running, and your schedule is not your own, your schedule is your kid's schedule, right? And so to try and balance that was difficult. And then you throw on top of it your marriage not being as sound as you thought it was too, right? So now you're dealing with that, and you don't want the kids to be exposed to it. So it took a lot of faith, honestly, and it took becoming more transparent with our kids and letting them understand what we were going through as they were older. But I'll tell you, I didn't do a very good job of balancing it all. I think there were a lot of things that were out of whack. And the one thing that helped, once again, it goes back to redirecting my life, redirecting my focus, and having God at the center of it, and then everything branching off of that, and really leaning in and listening to when God spoke, pivoting when God would close the door, and understanding like, okay, I'm not supposed to go that way. But nothing came into balance until that was the focus of my existence, was having God be the center of everything, and then everything else fall off of that. And I can tell you,
sorry to cut you off. How did you know how to do that?
I had 2 or 3 really, really good Bible study groups.
Okay.
Men who were older than me that poured into me, men that were so strong in their faith that didn't mind helping somebody like me on that journey. But then taking responsibility myself, and like, this is going to be a part of my life. One of the things I left a retreat thinking is, I want to be in the Word every day. Now, I haven't hit that goal yet, right? I mean, but I'm probably like five days out of the week, like I'm in it. I'm doing my thing. I'm trying to be as Christ-like as I can, as far as how I study, how I learn, how I lead, how I live, all those things. So, I just didn't do a really good job of balancing it. And that's because you can't do it by yourself. And I think more than anything, not only the good people that I had pouring into me, but it was also, like I said, a dedication to that, a dedication to my wife, a dedication to my family that kept me moving in the way that I needed to move.
Did you ever have moments where you're like, I don't think I can do this?
I have those now.
It's like that iconic movie scene in the car where it's raining and they're sitting in the car and you're just like, I don't know what I'm doing. If you could go back to that Kenyon now, considering who you are today, and you were to tell him, hey, not only is everything going to be okay, you're going to get through, have an amazing marriage, your kids are going to go and do incredible things, you're going to open up facilities, you're going to work on yourself, where you can't even believe how much improvement you make. Would you believe that you did it?
Oh, man. Probably not. And I think I say that in knowing that even with that kind of knowledge, I still think that the path was going to be the path. It was already written, right? So even if I said, I went back in time and I said to myself, like that dude, at 25, 26 years old, I'm like, no, that's not going to happen to me, kind of thing. But yeah, man, I think everything has happened for a reason, right? The things with my wife happened for a reason. Actually, the things with my wife led us here, led us to DME, and having to let go, knowing that I had to be able to accept the fact that I couldn't get my kids where I thought I could. I didn't get my kid Division I offers, right? They had one Division I offer coming out. And so I'm like, I was a Division I player. I coached. I'm like, I thought I knew how to do this. And so I had to humble myself and said, I'm not the dude. So I didn't coach him their last year in AAU. That was Tanner Carlson. And then obviously coming to DME, I wasn't able to coach him, at that point. And so I think that everything happened for a reason. It happened the way it was supposed to. Even if I would have told myself that, went back in time, I think God would have still directed it in a way where, this is the path I have for you. I don't care what you think is going to happen. And I think that's the beauty of it, right? We can see the end. We know where we want to get to, but we don't know what that road looks like.
Yeah.
And if we knew what that road looked like, we probably wouldn't take it half the time. And so I think it's not knowing. I mean, do you think, when you think about David, do you think he would have taken, if he would said, hey, this is what's going to happen to you on this journey. Yes, you're going to conquer Goliath, but all these other things are going to happen. It's going to test you. It's going to do this. They're probably like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, probably don't want to do
that. And so that's the one thing that when you talk retrospectively, I think things were going to happen the way they were going to happen, but I just felt like it was that moment. That text message changed the trajectory of our family, honestly. And I said, if I didn't get that text then, I don't know if the boys would be where they are today.
So almost everything has to be challenged and tore down in order for you to build it the right way.
Absolutely. And usually before a breakthrough, and I know you guys have heard this, but usually before a great breakthrough, you're torn down. There's something in your life that falls apart and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't think I can do this.
And sometimes that forces us to our knees, right? It's like, okay, what's the plan? I thought everything was great. And I take my project, this monstrosity of a facility that we're building that's going to impact, our community at such a high level. We had to pivot 6 weeks ago, a pivot that I wasn't even prepared for, but I didn't stress about it. I said, okay, this is what we have. What has God put in my life where I can pivot and continue to have this project moving in the same direction? And that's what I did. I think if we, the old saying is, if you worry, don't pray. If you pray, don't worry. So it's like, get on my knees and pray and say, okay, God, whatever you got for me, let's roll. So,
yeah, it's your plan.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward a little bit. Was there a moment when they're playing college where you're like, oh, wait, these guys, not only are they playing D1 college basketball, they can make it. I think these guys are going to make it.
Shoot, probably.
There's so much to talk about with you. Your story is incredible, but.
Sorry. Probably, I would say with Keegan, it was probably after his first or second Big Ten game. So we're talking in late December, early January, because he'd been leading the nation in scoring. It's like, okay, this dude's kind of...
Yeah, hold on.
He's kind of doing some work. And so it was probably then, but I actually had been contacted by agents their freshman year, but it was probably in December of 21, January of 22, where I'm like, this kid has a legitimate chance. And then Chris started playing really well down the stretch. And obviously that sophomore year, they won the Big Ten tournament championship. So that's when I'm like, okay, this is legit. Keegan obviously secured his top 5 spot, I think, during the Big Ten tournament run. And then Chris, tested the waters too. But that's when I really saw it. Like when he was dominating the Big Ten like he was, Keegan, that's when I was like, okay, this kid's got a chance. Chris coming on, I'm like, I'm not sure if he's where Keegan is, but then his coming back to Iowa after his brother was a first-team All-American, that said a lot about Chris. A lot of how he believed in himself, that he was a first-round pick as well. And it wasn't about comparing, because even coming back, like, he's a different player than Keegan, so he had to do it a little bit differently with a little bit different roster. But for Chris going back after he tested the waters, I'm like, he's going to be a first-round pick. And that was the story that his agent was telling. Like, this kid went back and bet on himself. Most kids, when they say they're going to bet on themselves, I'm leaving college, I'm going to the league. Chris is like, nope. Yeah, my brother was a good player. I'm coming back and I'm doing exactly what he did. And he did, and he was a first-round pick. So, yeah, man, it's been interesting because we still kind of pinch ourselves now as to, like, the odds of getting one kid in the league and we got two. It's crazy.
Is there a conversation behind closed doors that you and Michelle had where you had to, like, sit down and be like, okay, listen, this is actually happening? Like, what is that like?
Oh, man, it was, we probably laughed more than anything else, just like, we can't believe our life. Like, we even said that. Like, I think the first 2 years, Keegan's rookie year and then Chris's rookie year was like, we were just kind of like, dang, like, this is our life, right? Like, we're traveling all around, like, we just couldn't believe it. But things have settled, things have settled down. The boys are older. Keegan's married. Chris is engaged, getting married this year. So, like, life has changed, right? But now it's like we've really settled into a rhythm. Still live in Iowa. We're planting our roots in Iowa. I mean, that's what our kids are and who we are. Because everybody's like, why haven't you moved? It's like, well, this is home. And so, yeah, we probably sit now and go, man, these last 4 years have been crazy. Like, our life has changed so much in 4 years. And we're like, man, what's the next 4 years going to look like? Right. And so, yeah, we just sit and have to pinch ourselves now. But it's a conversation. Like, Michelle and I just look at each other now, don't really say anything and just shake our head and laugh because of everything that's happened.
What is draft night like? Take me through that experience. So they declare for the NBA draft, right?
Yeah.
What is that process like? Where are you? What is the feeling?
Yeah.
When you're sitting there, they're putting on the hat. That's just something that everyone wishes they can experience.
Well, we kind of knew where Keegan was going to probably go in the draft going into it. So we thought he was going to go. We thought he wasn't going to go lower than 6, and that was the Indiana Pacers, because we knew they liked him and everything. He had a great workout, but it's a lot. Like, you get to New York City and he's in meetings and marketing stuff. Like, he's doing stuff for the NBA. Like, he's gone. Michelle and I are in parent meetings, going through this and that, telling us about all the ins and outs of the NBA, the things that are available to our kids. Like, draft in New York was just crazy busy, and then going from the luncheon we had with the commissioner to getting everybody dressed in Barclays Center, it's like it was just a blur. And then when it came out and we're sitting in the whatever green room, whatever you want to call it, it was like our agent's on the phone and we're thinking 6. Like, seriously, we're like 6. There's no way he's going to the Kings. And got a call because when Paolo went 1, everybody thought it was going to be Jabari Smith Jr. going to Oklahoma or Orlando. And when that happened, it switched up a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Like, people may not know it, but it did. But when Sack came up, he's like, 4th call, like, Mark, he goes, they're coming in. All of a sudden, the cameras come over, and Keegan's like, what? Because we were all expecting 6, right?
Gosh.
So it was 4. We're like, holy smokes. And so it was pretty surreal that he got drafted that high. And, then they pulled me over to do an interview with him. And it was just a lot of just joy and happiness. But literally, Keegan went through the interviews, and there's a picture with the top 5 picks. Mm-hmm. There's one person not there, Keegan, because he got drafted. He did all the interviews, took all the pictures, and was like, can we leave? Like
really?
He's like, let's just go back to the hotel, order pizza, and we're good. So we got through everything. We went back to the hotel. Our agents were there and everything. We ordered a bunch of pizza. and we just hung out, and everybody's looking for Keegan at the draft for like a top 5 pick, and he dipped. He's like, that's just not him. So yeah, it's great I got drafted, but this is me. I just want to be with my people and eat some pizza. Though. And so that's what we did.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's probably like every GM's dream is to have someone that's not too big on himself. He just wants to focus on his family, focus on what he loves to do.
Yeah, and it was different with Chris because Chris did a lot more workouts. Yeah. And he actually didn't get back to Iowa from his last workout until Monday of draft week. And then they wanted him in New York for the go through all the draft stuff the next day. And Chris is like, he's like, Dad, like that's too much. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, you want to do one here? So we pulled together a draft party in Iowa City, invited, coaches, teammates, all that kind of thing. So it was different. It was a different process for Chris because because he went a little bit different route, had to do more workouts and things like that. And we knew he was going to go between like 19 and 24 because we knew at 24 was SAC, and he wasn't going to get past SAC. And then obviously Portland took him the pick before. But it was a little bit different, and we were able to have family and friends there. And so that was a little bit different, probably a little less stress and a lot less running around. But none the same. It was just exciting. And to be able to have like our local media and people there that saw this, saw Chris and Keegan grow up, to be able to have those people there to ask those questions after he got drafted I think it was cool because it was local and he had everybody that he cared about there. And so two different draft nights, but all the same, it was pretty impressive. That's so cool. Yeah.
And then considering everything that you had to go through, the family had to go through, I'm sure they have obviously their own experience, their ups and their downs. To have that moment with each other has to be, you can't even put words.
Yeah, it was awesome. It truly was awesome. So we're definitely blessed.
And I have to ask you this because we were talking a little bit. You guys are I don't think we've never met Chris and Keegan. I don't think. But I mean, no, I don't think we actually met them.
Oh gosh, that's funny.
But I know I met your daughter, I met your wife, and you guys are just all first class, so nice and so humble. So I know you don't even like reading your own introduction. So you're so humble. But we have to ask this because we've asked other entrepreneurs and CEOs when they sold a company, what was that feeling like? Yeah. When you see Keegan sign the contract that he recently just signed, as a father, what is that like? To know that that's generational wealth, and then what we always steal from you now is generational influence. Yeah. So what is that feeling like?
It's it's kind of funny because Keegan has certain goals going into the NBA. Obviously he wants to win the championships. He wants to be an all-star, all that kind of stuff. But he said from earning standpoint, he's like, Dad, I just if I can earn $100 million in my NBA career, that would be awesome, because I know that would set the family up, for generations.
$140 million. Yeah. You have to say that a little.
It's crazy because of the numbers that we're talking about, right? And I always preface people with this. I know this sounds crazy that I'm about to tell you. I know this sounds crazy, but it's the world we're in, and with the new with the new influx, with the new media deal, the numbers are going to be crazy. Keegan's contract is going to be pretty standard, in the next couple of years. I mean, if somebody gets, 140 over 5 years, they're going to be like, okay, that's good. But, this dude just got, 250 over 5 or something like that, So when you're dealing in that, it just sounds crazy. But for Keegan, it's one of those things where he knows he's set. And, you talk about somebody that's frugal. He and his brother both are frugal, and we have a great financial advisor. So that's a big part of it. So I think because of what he signed for, and knowing that we have a plan in place already for his, a financial plan and everything, we know they're going to be okay. I mean, Mark has done an unbelievable job for both of them in these last few years. And Chris, got his 4th year picked up, which is, that's very good because you're like, okay, solid. Absolutely. I got another year if I need to work on some things. So I think, he'll also, I think they both will have a 10-year career in the NBA, health, stay good. Mm-hmm. But just the opportunity to create generational wealth for your family, for both of them is, something that neither one of them probably ever thought would happen. But it's also a thing that we take a lot of responsibility for too, right? Because now let's be the outlier. We're not going to be broke after 5 years of leaving the NBA because we understand there's a plan in place. We have a great financial advisor. who trusts everything. I know money that comes in, comes out, like being able to understand what agents get paid, what percentage and how those things fall. And then too, picking partners, like whether it's, you're endorsing Adidas or something else, like being a good representative of things, because we know one slip up can
change everything.
Right. So even when you talk about partnerships and endorsement deals, like what we're doing, like they've turned down some good money for things that they didn't believe in. And that's so smart. When you've got a solid financial plan with the right team around you, people you can trust, you set yourself up to be, independently wealthy for the rest of your life. And I think that's what we've put in place for both Chris and Keegan when it comes to the money.
When you hear the whole 5 years and go broke story, and that's not even in the NBA, there's been plenty of people in business. There could be people, whatever career you go in, and you make a substantial amount of money, but then somehow you blow it. Or because you've never necessarily experienced that before, so you just feel like you can take over the world, and then you realize how quickly it can also go away.
Yeah.
How do you know, or how did you go about, and maybe it's changed over time, to find the right people? Like how do you, because of course when you have the success, the glitz and the glamour, and you have the contracts, of course people want to be a part of that, but how do you dissect, okay, this person is genuine, this person really knows what they're talking about, and they want what's best for us?
Yeah, I mean, in getting them to where they are now, I was always, what was great was whether it was Mark Bartelstein as their agent, Kyle McIlharney as their agent, or Mark Wise as their financial advisor, whenever anything would come up for the boys, it was like, you need to talk to their father. You talk to Kenyon. Well, who's right? Talk to Kenyon. So everything went through me, right? So the people in Iowa that know me knew our family. Like they might know our family, but we're pretty introverted when we, that kind of thing. We just knew the people around us more than anything, right? So I have a great relationship with all the representation, which is great.
That's amazing.
And, whatever goes on in our family, they know about, because they can't represent our kids or give our kids the best advice if they don't know all the dynamics that are going on in the family, which can change time to time and all this kind of stuff. So people knew that in order to have a relationship with the boys, they had to have a relationship with me. And
super smart.
Yeah. And so with everything, even with endorsement deals, they call me first. Like, do you think Keegan or Chris will go for this? I'd be like, no, or let me talk to him about it, maybe a different angle of doing things. So that's really what it was. And we just don't have a lot of people in our circle. We really don't. We're associated with a lot of people, but the people that really matter, that help us make decisions on a day-to-day basis, it's probably 4 or 5 people. And so we've kept the circle tight. And we've kept a lot of it in the family too. So, that's one of those things that's great about this platform, is we're able to really bring people from our family into the fold, whether they're doing stuff for the basketball, whether they're doing stuff for the foundation. We have our family is involved in different aspects of everything that we're doing. So Chris and Keegan is all about basketball right now. So that's where their focus needs to be. And so it's our job to keep everything else away from them so they can do that.
I want to talk about the project you have coming up.
Yep.
And then a lot of questions, but the last I have to ask question is, when you go to the NBA game, and when Josh and I first started covering the NBA, there was like a handful of players that we wanted to watch in person.
Yeah.
And we want to interview this person. LeBron was obviously one of them for us.
Yeah.
Was there someone that you were super excited to see Keegan play against, or Chris play against? Was there someone on your list? I'm like, okay, I want to see how my kids do against them.
Yeah, no, obviously like Steph Curry, LeBron, like for Chris, so Keegan grew up a LeBron James fan.
Smart man.
So didn't matter where LeBron was, like that was the team he was supporting.
Yeah.
Chris has always been a Boston Celtics fan. So like for Chris, I know it was a huge thing for him to be able to play. Like when he played in Boston the first time on the road, like, and he actually had a good game in that game too. I think he ended up with like 11 or 13 points that game or something like that as a rookie. But like, it was just like, excited for him to be able to play in the Garden.
Yeah, it's iconic.
Yeah, and then to play against guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who he was like cheering for like years before, right?
That's so cool.
And LeBron. So it was really funny to see that. And then I think too, because of them and defensively, I wanted to see them play against the greats like Steph Curry, and people like that. And so I think, but for Chris, it was seeing him play in Boston Garden. I think he was really looking forward to that, and Keegan the first time. And literally, Keegan's first regular season game was at the Lakers against LeBron. God. So, and then when he got checked into the game, they're like, Keegan was like, okay, he's coming in as a rookie. And they're like, because who I got? It's like, you got LeBron. I was like, how did that feel? He's like, Dad, I didn't have time to think about it. I was just thinking, like, I got to get on the floor, and that's who I'm guarding, right? I'm going right to the scouting report. And so, but he talked about a lot, too, like over that year where nobody called him by his name. They called him rookie. But LeBron gave him some props. I can't remember. I think he had hit like 3 or 4 threes in a game. And after one of them, LeBron was like, they were on the free throw lines, like good shot, Rook, or something like that. So, those were kind of the things that we were looking forward to for the boys in the league.
That's so cool. And I'm sure they get to learn so much. Obviously, like playing against them, seeing their routine, seeing the way they approach the game. And I'm sure they're just like you. They're a sponge. They want to get better. And you're exposed to stuff like that. You're going to get better, without a doubt.
Sure. For sure.
So let's fast forward into the project you have coming up, because we talk about generational influence, and this project has influence and legacy written all over it. So what is this project that you're working on? What can you share, and what has the process been like?
Okay, well, the project is we're building a 45,000 square foot facility that will house basketball, volleyball, obviously recreational activities like pickleball. We'll have a 24-hour fitness center that will lease space in the building. We'll have a physical therapy and or counseling organization that will be in another tenant space for us. And then we're creating classroom space, meeting space, recovery space to really have a holistic development program for any student athletes that come into the building. Now that's the first focus, right? Is we know that there's going to be student athletes coming to us, so we want to make sure we're helping them with, their grades, learning financial literacy, all those kind of things, helping them because some of them aren't going to play basketball or whatever in college. Opportunities to help them on their career choices, career readiness, those kind of things. So this project is different than anything that's in the state of Iowa from a facility standpoint, because we have 3 other nonprofits that are working with our nonprofit in order to execute programming in the building. So when you talk about financial literacy, our title sponsor or building naming sponsor, Quarter Credit Union, that's one of their core values, just like it is with junior achievement. Career readiness, junior achievement is unbelievable at that. Zach Johnson's foundation has a reading and math program, so they have so much success in helping these kids just turn their academic lives around. So we have those entities that are also working with us, as well as a mental wellness company. So we have a company called Brighton, started a mental wellness app. So any kid that comes into the building, year one, we'll have about 300 subscriptions that we can give for free. So families or athletes or kids can utilize the app. So if they're not an athlete, but hey, mom's like, I know this family that could utilize this resource. We want them to do that. We want them to come in the doors and help us because we want to be a hub of resources. And then being able to lease the space, do sponsorships, court namings, things like that. We wanted to create an entity that was going to benefit from the community's involvement, but having the right people in the building for what you were calling generational influence, right? Mm-hmm. It's one thing to have generational wealth, but generational influence is, in our mind, I guess in our definition, is bringing people from the community together to help really facilitate a vision that's going to go on from generation to generation. Doesn't matter if the Murrays are here or gone. What we've created with other people in this community, other business owners, those kind of things, is going to continue to impact the community. And so that's where we feel like is the biggest thing, is we have so many people involved in the project, not because it's a facility for basketball, pickleball, whatever, but because it's a hub of resources that we're going to be able to help the community. Because if you give people access to resources, whether it's financial, educational, whatever, we know that can change the trajectory of a family. And now if you're helping lift up families in your community, now they're put in a place where now they can help the next generation, and they can say, hey, this is what helped us. We need to do the same. And so you continue to just grow this thing, but you continue to impact the community in a way that you set out to do. So that's what we're doing.
That's amazing. One of I probably say this every podcast, is one of my favorite cards. It's my favorite card. Our favorite gem is vision is the art of seeing the invisible. Mm-hmm. So you have this vision in your mind, but no one else is really going to see it the way you see it. Mm-hmm. And everything, whether it's this table, this microphone, this notebook, this computer, it all started with a vision. Yeah. And then you bring the thoughts to life. You write them down. and then obviously you find out the steps to execute it and bring it to life. So you clearly have a vision. For you, what sparked the vision? What made you think about, this is what I want to do, this is how I can create it? Was it a drive home? Was it a conversation with your family? How did you come up with this idea?
So the facility, from a standpoint of like vision, I probably had that back in 2011 when I started.
2011?
Legacy Basketball Academy. I started that because I didn't feel the other AAU programs in the state that were available to my boys were what they needed. You know, I knew we needed to focus on fundamental development, basketball IQ, and so we started Legacy Basketball Academy, and we wanted a facility back then, but the reality was I didn't have the network or the resources to even think about doing anything like that. My credit score was awful, so so going to the bank wasn't very good, but yeah, you know, that vision started then, and it was because like over all these years of coaching AAU basketball, the one thing I always thought about, like why can't we do it together, right? You can see now, like there's an AAU program, like if a dad is upset with his playing time with his kid over here, they can go start their own.
He's starting his own team.
Start his own thing, right? And so I was always like, why can't we do this together? And then as I got into the nonprofit world, I saw all these nonprofits are, you know, they're going after the same donors or they're going after the same grants. And some of these nonprofits are going into a world that they aren't experts in, right? Or they're going into a world like, hey, for us to get that grant, we need to rewrite this grant proposal so we can get that grant. And they may not have the capacity to actually execute the program that the grant, you know, is asking for. And so I'm like, how do we bring people together? So for me, when being on nonprofit boards made sense, I did it. So I'm on the board of trustees for Junior Achievement. So being on the board, I know exactly what they're trying to do, where their core values are. I work with the president hand in hand. When you look at Zach Johnson now, our relationship started because he's from Cedar Rapids, Iowa as well. But then I actually, from a nonprofit standpoint, knew what his after school program was doing with reading and writing, and their results are tremendous. And so I started to know that. So when we started talking about our foundational mission, we're like, we don't want to be end all be all. There's other people that do things really well, and we're really good at bringing people together. So let's figure out a way to bring these entities together into the fold. So now when people say, hey, how are you going to execute this after school program, or how are you going to do this career readiness? Like, we don't have to. Junior Achievement,
this is what
their representative will come in and hold the session. Quarter Credit Union to do a financial literacy thing, first-time homeowners, things like that. We don't have to, because we've created this partnership with these other entities. So for us, it's all about bringing people together to do, like you said, the invisible. And so my main job is not even figuring out the business plan or figuring out, you know, how, I don't even say like how things will be paid for or things like that. Like my job is to create a vision and then bring the right people together to execute the vision. And so the vision's never changed. Some partners have changed, but for the most part, everybody that is on the train right now believes in it, from the architects to the civil engineers to the city of North Liberty. Like for them to give us almost $2 million in tax abatements, this is only the second time they've ever voted anything like this in the city. So when you can look at that, and then you can go to a luncheon and the mayor and the city council are there and you're talking about your vision and they're standing up and applauding, then you know you've got something really special. And that's really what we're trying to build.
That's such a smart business model too, because you're connecting the dots literally, and then you're having people what they're already good at and established at and expert at, and you're just letting them be who they are. And so you're just getting, like you said, you're bringing everybody together. And
we're giving them a population that they're not able to impact right now. Because Zach is in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We're bringing that program south to North Liberty. Junior Achievement just signed a deal with the Iowa City Public Schools. So now with what they're doing with the public schools, we give them another outlet too. So there might be some programming that they're doing in their new center in Iowa City, but maybe they do some off-site stuff, because they do this thing, it's great, it's called BizTown. So basically they have these kids, 7th and 8th graders, they run for mayor, they have all this, so they really set up a town. So you've got hospital, court, county hall, all these things. And these kids, 7th and 8th graders, they're running the town.
That's so cool.
And so we've been a part of that through sponsorship and stuff like that. So we're able to do these kind of things now in partner. We give them a different outlet. We give them a different location. And in the city of North Liberty, they have a great recreational program. And so we're also seeing how we can work with them, because space is always an issue. And if we can continue to strengthen those connections to the city, we know that we'll have the support to be there for a long time. So you have to get the city and its representatives behind you when you have something like this. And there's about 500 new homes coming in right around where we're building. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have access to so many families and stuff.
How did you learn how to do all this? Because I mean, like, there's just a couple, no, there's way more than a couple. There's just so many things that take place to make this happen. Understanding financial literacy, understanding what each person does, their department, land. I mean, that's a whole thing in itself. I'm sure you could know a lot more about it than I do, but how do you even wrap your mind around everything, and how did you teach yourself how to do all this?
Yeah. I think any meeting we have, so we have a standing Wednesday meeting with our whole team, so civil engineers, architects, builders, everything. And so I might lead the meeting, but I don't talk as much. So I ask for reports and I let people do their thing. I learn so much by just listening to everybody else. And if I have a question, I ask, because I don't know. So I never go into any meeting thinking that I know everything. I go into the meeting mostly listening and trying to figure out, where do you need me? And I just have trust in the group that we've put together. So you talk about learning everything. Most of it's been by osmosis. I haven't picked up a textbook and tried to figure out, tax abatements and this and the other thing. It's just been a matter of just engrossing myself in what everybody else does and just sitting and learning, and then being able to think critically, right? Because there's certain points, like the architects may be able to draw something up, but they don't see the vision. So for me, my talks with them is, okay, can we do this to make sure the spacing on the court's the same way, where the rims and the net's going to drop down from. So just kind of getting into their world and kind of, just listening. Yeah. But then saying, hey, can you make this work? I don't know if it can. I really would like to see it, but is it possible? And it's like, okay, let us do that. So being able to be clear on the vision and what I want, and then allowing them to do their thing. And I try not to get into their way of doing that. There's certain things that I say now, I've given over to my basketball program. I've given over to the architects and the builders. Now, if you need me to sign off or something, usually, or to write a check to pay for something, bring me in then. You know the vision, you know what I want. I'm gonna let you guys do your thing. Only bring me in when you think it's important for me to be in. And so I don't smother anybody. I let them do their thing, and that allows me to just stay who I am and stick to what I know. Yeah,
so you've been great at delegating and not micromanaging.
Right.
And then one thing that Josh and I are always learning too is you're not going to know everything.
Yeah.
But if you have the mindset and the principles going into whatever task that you have coming up or whatever goal that you're trying to reach, as long as you understand how to approach situations, you can always learn more.
Yeah.
So it's always like, it always reflects back to you, like inward. Yeah. Do you have the skill sets to listen? Is your ego put aside? Do you understand that you don't know everything? Do you know how to be gracious and kind to people? Do you know how to lead people? Do you know how to also follow the right people? And if you surround yourself with the right people and you have the approach coming from wanting to serve others, but also wanting to learn, you can pretty much get yourself into anything. Doesn't mean you're an expert, but you know enough to find people who know more than you. Yeah. And it sounds like what you've done a great job at is just connecting the dots and letting people do what they do best. Yeah. And then everyone believes in your vision and everyone's aligned. And so it just makes it like you have a smile on your face when you talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I think one of the things I wanted to say is I'm having a brain fart right now, what I was going to say. But it was about like people doing their thing. So like for me, how I keep my sanity, and I think I learn better, is like I compartmentalize my days. So like Monday might be a day where all I'm working on is invoices, paying bills, that kind of stuff, right? Tuesday, I know I meet with, I have certain meetings on Tuesday, and usually those are more with the basketball stuff, like making sure we got things set up that way. Wednesday is the facility. Like we have a standing meeting. I have 3 meetings right in a row. That's all about the facility, and that's all I focus on that day. Thursdays, I'm typically doing maybe some of my life coaching in a podcast studio, whatever. And then Fridays is usually pretty light, but whatever I maybe didn't get done on Monday or Tuesday I need to get done, that's on Friday, and I just shut it down. And then I literally, unless I know you're calling me, if it's after 5 o'clock, you're not going to get me. because I'm spending time with my wife on that. So I think for me to do what I'm doing, to stay fresh and learn everything that I've learned, it's been about like managing my days and not getting overwhelmed with things. Because if you try to do 5 things, I'm like, man, I'm taking the top 3 things on my to-do list every day. If I get those done, then I'll move to 4 and 5. If I don't, like if all I get done is those 3, I'm happy with it, right? Because what I had to change is my mindset of a project like this. Feedback is usually coming in a week to 2 weeks out. So we might have a meeting today, but I may not get any feedback on today's meeting until next Monday, or it might be 2 weeks. So I've set myself up to also understand that even if I want something done tomorrow, there's a process to it, and it's probably not going to get done tomorrow. But the thing is just being consistent with those things week in and week out has just allowed me to stay balanced, allow me to stay sane. And more than anything, just I think stay motivated, because a project like this could burn you out, I think.
I can imagine.
If you don't balance everything. So
I think that's what it was. It was the Steve Jobs 80-20 principle. It sounded like what you're referring to a little bit is, and I saw this the other day. He focuses on the vital 20% that drives 80% of the impact. And because there's always more to do, like you said, you'll burn yourself out and drive yourself crazy. So what is the most important thing that you need to do that day?
Yep.
And then that gets your attention. And then after you complete those specific tasks, you understand after 5 o'clock, you can prioritize the other portion of your life.
Yep, absolutely. So it's about doing what's necessary that day. Things that can be moved, can be put on hold, But I think the most important thing now is delegation for me. When I have a team with Murray Elite Basketball that things are running, the engine's humming, they don't need me unless it's approving this, approving that. When you look at, my own personal Murray Legacy Management with me doing my life coaching and things like that, like that's my world. I do that. When it comes to the podcast, I've even hired a content writer, guest scheduler, all that kind of thing, because that frees me up to do the other stuff. Like, not saying that my podcast isn't important, but sometimes coming up with fresh ideas, coming up with fresh guests, like I feel like I don't have the mental capacity to do that or the time to do that, like we talked about. And so trusting my podcast producer, trusting the editors, trusting my content, coming to me with good ideas and guests and things like that just frees me up to do that, but it allows them to do what they're good at, And so my thing is putting people in position to be successful within the confines of this whole project has been monumental for us to get to where we are today.
We talked with Tom Labasso. It's about getting the wrong people off the bus, the right people on the bus, and then in the right seats, and then in the right direction. And then one thing that we're fascinated with too is we are always doing a million different things. And so now we're also learning, okay, what are the most important things that what's our purpose? What do we want to achieve? What's most important to us? Okay, let's focus most of our attention in those areas, because it's easy to get sidetracked into so many different things. But I want to finish with this. We do our rapid fire segment, and we'll finish the podcast with this.
Okay. Dang, we've been going that long?
I know it. I love it. We have your legacy podcast, Leave Your Legacy. We have obviously your life coaching, the project development. There's so much to talk about in so many different areas. But one of the main purposes of this show is to provide inspiration and value to anyone listening. Doesn't mean just the youth. It could be anybody. A single mother, someone that's older, that's trying to change the trajectory of their career, maybe enter a new career path. So what would you tell someone trying to change their trajectory right now? No matter the age, they just want to do something new and they want to achieve great things. They want to get off the wrong path that they're on right now. What would be your piece of advice?
Well, one of the first questions I would ask is like, what's your motivation in making the change? Is there a shift in your current situation? Has something happened to you that you've come to this, idea that I need to change this, or, I'm looking at this new thing. I want to go in here because I feel like my purpose is driving me there. So for anybody that wants to change the trajectory or change careers or anything like that, what I would say first is write down the top 5 reasons why you want to move in this different direction. And then after you list those reasons, then it's about putting a plan in place. Okay. And like, what's the most important thing? So how am I going to achieve this point, that point? Everything needs to have a plan. A friend of mine, I'm actually connecting with here today. One of the things he said is like, how did you know you were ready to do all this? And I said, well, one of the things I had to do was, I didn't know I was, but I knew I had to prepare for the journey that I was going to take. So it was all about learning as much as I could about this new path that I was going to take, and then putting people in that path that I knew could help me get to where I wanted to go and fill my gaps. Sometimes changing trajectory or changing your path or going in a different direction, it's all about the people that you have placed on that journey that's going to help you either succeed or fail. And so I would always start with what are your top 5 motivations for changing what you're changing, and then what's the plan you're going to put in place to make sure that you can achieve that.
Perfect. And just for time purposes, I saw that. What would be your best piece of advice? And maybe it's something along the lines that you just said, but what would be the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Best piece of advice I've ever received is...
And worst, by the way.
Worst is trusting God. That's the best piece of advice I've received and I've given. And the worst advice, you can do it by yourself. There's nothing in this world that we accomplish by ourselves. I'm sorry. It's just like we were talking earlier about a really good player, right? Knowing that I'm good, but I'm not going to win anything without the rest of these guys. And so I think the best advice is trusting God, trusting the purpose, because I think if you trust there, your purpose will be revealed to you. And then, like I said, man, just the worst is that you can do it on your own, because there's nothing in life to achieve without being surrounded by good people that believe in you. So,
Kenyon, you're the best. We appreciate you. We're going to go grab some lunch, but thank you so much for coming on this podcast. Absolutely. By lunch, we're all going out, right? You're good to go? So, yeah, we're all going on lunch. So, thank you.
Sounds good.
I appreciate you,
bro.
Kenyon.
Absolutely.